But I will say that Nigeria has always been important to Meta, even before it became Meta, when it was Facebook. Though at a couple of years, I was actually the very first staff member that Meta recruited in the region. And this was in 2018. But before I joined the company, Facebook had actually partnered with a Nigerian company to build 750 kilometers of fiber across Ogun and Edo states. Before I joined the company, Facebook had already partnered with 3 different Nigerian companies to roll out express Wi-Fi programs across the entire country. And I'm talking in places as remote as Zamfara, from Lagos to Zamfara. We have express, we have, and to a certain extent, we still have express Wi-Fi programs across the country. Facebook had already started its digital literacy programs. It had already started its digital marketing and business strategy programs with SMEs across the country. So Nigeria has always been important. It's not just important because of the potential of the market, because at the end of the day, Meta is a business. So we look at where we can make money. But for the same reasons that Balaji and Melissa spoke about, we know that by 2050, is 1 in 4, the number changes, either 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 Africans will be Nigerians. Nigeria has the youngest youth population on the continent. And coincidentally, apart from Egypt and Morocco, the most connected as well. We've seen what has happened with the adoption of digital technology by young people, entrepreneurs, the business community in the country. So it remains very much a central focus of Meta's strategy for Africa.
The way in which Meta looks at a country like Nigeria and how different the strategy would be here versus another G20 or OECD country. You know, is it the same strategy, or what things are you doing differently here, do you think?
The business that we are in is we provide tools to facilitate other businesses. So our strategy remains basically the same across all markets. The methods of intervention and entry might be different. They might be higher, they might be lower. Our connections with our vendors and our clients might be different. So when we're looking at things like, the promotion of our advertisements and our earned revenue-based work is different in Latin America to Asia to Europe. It's very different in Africa, where we know that the market is still very low in terms of digital adoption. Advertising is still very much traditional based. So we're still working to that. But in Africa, we see a larger uptake in businesses in things like our partnerships with the telcos, enabling them to be able to reach their customers, their clients, and provide services on the tools that we have facilitated. But it differs, but it's the same.
And obviously that's an important aspect of the digital infrastructure. It's also quite a good visual in terms of the way you're connecting Nigeria with the rest of the world. I don't know if you were around the table as those decisions were being made, but the subsea cable strategy I think is interesting, and I think it's interesting where you landed.
So, to Africa is the longest subsea cable in the world. It's about 45,000 kilometers. It is the only cable that circles the entire continent of Africa. It's the only cable that is landing in over 20 countries on the continent. And for Nigeria, it is the only cable that is landing in another site outside Lagos. Lagos has an excess of subsea cables coming in. But To Africa is the only cable to date that has landed in Nigeria outside lanes. So we have a landing station in Akwa Ibom. South Africa is also the only cable that operates an open access data center. So the cable comes in, and we're not proprietary about it, we're not precious about it. Other operators can use that data center as well. Our model has always been one of partnership. When we build, we don't build alone. We have always partnered with local operators. One of the things that Meta is very clear about, and we learned this from our business model. We started out as a social media platform, allowing people to chat to each other. And we very quickly realized that what people chat about in New York is completely different from what people chat about in Nasarawa, and it's different from what people chat about in Namibia. Yeah. Local expertise, local knowledge is absolutely critical. So even the consortium that put together Two Africa, we bring it, Meta brings it to the shores, and local partners take it up country from there.
I guess with every infrastructure opportunity, there are also challenges. I remember reading a Scientific American article that said if all of NVIDIA's chips that they had pre-sold for 2025 were operating, it would consume something like, I don't know, 87, 88 terawatts of power. And I sort of was reminded of that as Balaji talked to us about the 4,500 megawatt grid here in Nigeria. So, with the development of AI, development of the metaverse, two core strategies of Meta, you are significantly expanding the demand for power and bandwidth in markets like this. How do you view that as an opportunity or as a challenge? And what do you think can be done to sort of narrow that deficit?
Power is absolutely critical. It is absolutely. It's fundamental. And you cannot talk about increasing digital access. You cannot even begin to talk about just the fundamentals of AI and being able to deploy it at the scale that a country like Nigeria needs for development without power. You cannot talk about upscaling and upskilling your population to be able to take advantage of any of these technologies without power. So one of the things that we try to introduce in the conversation, for example, all Meta's data centers are 100% renewable. So we innovatively get the request, why don't you come and open data center here? Why are you so overseas here? And it is an opportunity to have the conversation about what are you doing about providing power? What are the opportunities? Where are the intersections? How can we even leverage on the technology that we have or the access to information and data that we have to use to build a more robust power sector? Another example I can give you is Meta has publicly available data sets which are currently being used by several countries in the world to design their electricity projects, from rural electricity data sets to our population density data sets to our connectivity data sets. And these are, I know that, for example, in Nigeria, REA is using it, SC for all are using it. We see this as a partnership. We have access to the information that you can use to build a more robust system. We also have the opportunity to partner with you to build these structures that will strengthen and increase access to the system. So it's always the relationship changes, it's fluid, but we see ourselves very much at not necessarily the center, but being able to at least partner with every single aspect of those various, you know, objectives and goals and plans.